Hey, this is Kim Reed again. I told you we are in Miami. I told you I was going to talk to some fascinating people, just people I admire, great entrepreneurs, just great all-around people, great spirits. And this is a friend of mine. I've known him 10 years, William Taylor. He is a fantastic entrepreneur, great friend, great spirit. And I just wanted him to kind of share some really good words of wisdom with entrepreneurs about entrepreneurship. William Taylor. William, thank you. We're down in Miami for a couple of days, getting some development, getting some camaraderie, seeing each other again. And how you been?
Great.
Good. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I just wanted to kind of get some nuggets because ultra successful, doing your thing.
All right.
Doing your thing in the South. Come on now, don't be modest. Doing your thing in the South, and and all over. Tell everybody who you are, what you do, the name of your firm, and in that intro, what have you learned about yourself over how long you've been in the game in entrepreneurship?
24 years.
What have you learned about yourself in those last 24 years?
Okay, well, I'm William Taylor, CPA, CFP, PFS.
You got a lot of
Master
letters.
of Accounting and Tax. Been in this game on my own for 24 years, and in terms of what I've learned is to, I guess, operate the way the big dogs operate if you want to get the respect and attention that you're craving. So hopefully that makes sense.
And tell me, what does that mean though? How do they operate?
Well, starting out for 3 or 4 years, I didn't have the right technology, didn't have the right benefits, probably didn't have the right talent. And I could have, but starting out, I had that discount mentality, just get what you can get when you can get it. But had I used the money for the technology, for the benefits, for the talent, I would have had more time to grow the business versus filling in the gaps and experiencing probably more turnover than I would have experienced had I just done things right, and having less mistakes because the technology automates some of the clerical and administrative things. No misspelled words, all that good stuff. I'm a spelling bee guy, so now I'm digging into all that. So.
Right. Biggest challenge?
Biggest challenge? As a CPA, it's hard to get our people and other people to respect our game because we're dealing with folks' money. And we have just kind of been conditioned that we're the last people we want to trust with our money matters, when in fact we have probably the best minds when it comes to those numbers.
Okay. And why do we have the best? Why do you say that we have the best?
Well, looking back at history, everything that was mathematically needed and built and required, most of that came from us. So I just think it's in our DNA, and it's not taking anything from anybody else.
Sure.
If it's a part of our DNA, then it's natural. And over time, the best numbers people, the best mathematical folk out there on the streets and in the classrooms that can just rattle it off typically look like me.
True.
They're not pulling out calculators.
They're not. No, they're in the rubber band.
Right. So I just think it's natural for us.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and it's funny because we've been together for the last 2 days and we've talked about so much, and we learned the technical side, we learned the soft skills, but it also, we also have kept it really real as it relates to how to get business, and we've had some no's, right? And OD, I've talked to before you talked about you can't get stuck with these no's.
Right.
You got to keep going. What would you tell a new entrepreneur? What words of wisdom would you give a new entrepreneur, and what would you give a brother? A words of wisdom who's a new entrepreneur or who's trying to stay in the game?
Well, first, understand you're in business, and business is green, and we all are trying to get it. So you've got to dot your I's and cross your T's. Business bank accounts need to exist, not co-mingling of business and personal money.
Ooh, I used to do that though.
Right.
Will, I'm glad you said that, because that was me. I've been in the game 15 years, but the first 1 to 3 years, oh my God, I was a co-mingler, like galore. And that I didn't realize how wrong that was.
That's a big no-no, because if we survive that second and third year, most of us are running to the bank to expand. And when you run to the bank, if you've been co-mingling money, you don't have good financial statements, and you haven't filed tax returns in a timely manner, you just gave the bank an excuse to tell you no, and then you're going to be blaming the bank. And if you're a brother, sometimes we're at the bottom of the totem pole in terms of respect. You're going to forget the fact that it's your fault.
That's right.
Not the bank's fault. So I just think that separation of business and personal, them financials, and timely file tax returns, and being current on tax liability is big. And now if you do that in the beginning, when you get to year 3 and 4, you can move to those next levels versus being stressed out because you can't get past the mess you just created.
True. I'm glad I had a great CPA at that time. We know David Lopez. Because he had to get me out of some stuff because that is dangerous, and I didn't know that. Right? That was something I didn't know, because when you're jumping into business, it's kind of survival. And you don't think about, to your point, technology. I didn't think about the CPA. I didn't think about the critical tools that we need to stay in the game as long as you've been 24 years, me 15. And I think that's so important for us to share. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah, and that upfront money, you question things in the beginning, but if you view that upfront money as insurance, then it's going to be easier to spend. Because some people say, well, invest in yourself. Or some folks think they've already invested in themselves.
Right.
But insurance protects you. You can never protect yourself too much. So if you think of them initial dollars for those CPAs and getting them financials and doing the proper returns and paying for some tax planning, if you're trying to avoid tax, then avoid it legally. Spend $1,000 to save 10. Don't be mad that you gave me 1,000. Think about the fact that you got 9 left because you gave me 1,000.
That's right.
And if you get that insurance on the front end, then you're going to be positioned for people to not tell you no. They're going to have to support the process.
That's right. That's good. Wow, we're going to have a part 2 with William. William, I need one of those shirts. I'm saying this on camera, so I'm going to hold your candle. Okay. Good.
You want the purple one?
Y'all, wait a minute, because I'm getting to that in a minute. Yes, I'm going to put William on the hot seat real quick before we go. William, all right, so I asked OD, Earth, Wind, and Fire versus the Commodores, but I'm going to ask you something different. All right, because I'm old school hip-hop to my core. So I'm going to ask you, Biggie or Jay-Z?
Biggie.
Okay. Greatest fraternity of all time.
Omega Psi Phi.
That's why he asked me about the purple shirt. William, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And this is Optimists Always Win YouTube channel. I told you I'm going to bring you some awesome people. This is the Entrepreneurship edition because we're in Miami with some of the top CPA minority Black-owned firms in the U.S., and this is one of them. My friend William Taylor. William, where can we find you?
www.tcpafirm.com.
Oh.
tcpafirm.com.
William A. Taylor. Best to do it. Thank you. We'll see you soon.